Washington football. Woo! Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Burgundy Zone. I am your host, Kyle, and I am joined by my two co-hosts, Michael Hall and Michael Reed. The Burgundy Zone is brought to you by the Listen Frederick Podcast Network. You can find out more at www.listenfrederick.com. And we are joined by family member of the podcast, Professor Paulsen. How are you doing on this beautiful, warm Friday evening, sir?
Fantastic. You're right. The weather's outstanding. I'm excited to be talking some football.
Yes,
where Professor Paulsen, where are your glasses? I thought
I know.
You just look like Logan Paulsen.
Like Superman. You get them off.
Yeah, absolutely. You should play him in the next movie.
You should. But we can't go any further, Logan, without talking about the new name, the Washington Commanders. How do you feel about the Commanders name? Was it something like, do you still feel attached somewhat to the Redskins that you played for?
Yeah, I mean, I think they're like the history is still there. I mean, I don't really care about the name. As a player, I didn't care about the name as long as the team was paying me money. And I think the guys probably feel the same way. And I think it's a good opportunity to kind of start fresh, start new, especially with all this kind of murk and mess that's been following the team the past couple of years. Yeah. But yeah, man, I think it's a cool opportunity. Jerseys look nice, and hopefully the fans are excited about it.
Yeah, and speaking of starting fresh, obviously, this team's going to be starting fresh hopefully with a new quarterback this upcoming season. Looking into the draft, what quarterbacks have you looked at, and give us your thoughts on the quarterbacks you've looked at so far.
Oh man, Mike, that is a tough deal there because I've looked at all of them, and none of them are really guys that get you super excited. I think probably the most pro-ready is Kenny Pickett. I think he looks good. I think he plays in a pro-style offense at the moment at Pittsburgh and looks pretty good. I think he shows some good arm strength, not outstanding arm strength. I think he's a good, solid football player. He reminds me a little bit of like Derek Carr. I'm sure you guys have heard that comparison before. And so you kind of say, well, what is the ceiling then if he becomes the Washington football team quarterback? Derek Carr is a good player, like Kirk Cousins in Minnesota, and I think that's a fine place to be. But is that someone that you want to kind of build your rebrand around, build the new franchise around? And then obviously we'll see how he, his hand measures and all that stuff. I don't think it's that critical because he kind of played in bad weather when he was at Pitt. He seems to have live velocity on the ball. Doesn't seem like he has a hard time holding on the football, but I'm sure people will get upset about that. And then I think the guy that's like number 2 on my list is probably Malik Willis from Liberty. I think when you look at his Senior Bowl stuff, he was probably the best quarterback there just in terms of arm talent and just kind of that wow factor. And when you look at kind of the Buffalo Bills, when you look at the Kansas City Chiefs, you look at that kind of dynamic playmaker at the position. He definitely is a guy that fits that mold pretty emphatically and a guy that makes me excited, and I think that's the guy that has the highest ceiling. And that's the guy that I'd probably, want to build more organization around, build the team around. And we'll see. Well, I mean, we'll see because he's probably at least 8 games, probably more like a year away. And can this fan base be patient and sit and let him grow? And I don't think they can. So I think they're going to probably go in a different direction. I've also heard some kind of scary things about his ability to digest a playbook. That was something that was going on around the Senior Bowl. Guys that I was coaching or guys that I have coached who met with him said they liked him, said he's an awesome dude, said they didn't see any of that kind of inability to learn the offense. They felt like he had a pretty good grasp, but some of the scouts were throwing that around a little bit. And again, this is that time of year where it's all kind of smoke and mirrors. Everyone's trying to devalue people's draft stock and things like that. So, don't put a ton of stock in that. And then the next guy is not in my list, but it kind of gets really, what's the word? It's hard to kind of differentiate here. I think the next guy in my book would be Ritter from Cincinnati, excuse me. I think he looks the part, 6'4", 215. He can move well, got a live arm. But I swear to goodness, there is probably 4 or 5 throws in a game where you're like, what are you thinking? Mm-hmm. That someone tipped that? Why is that ball location so off? And that makes me really nervous. He reminds me of kind of like a final version of Taylor Heineke, and it's kind of like, is that something that's really going to make you better? Is he going to be a good starter in the NFL? I heard that Carson Strong's not going to clear medical because of the knee. Wow. But again, not super impressed with him. At the Senior Bowl, and his college tape makes me really nervous. He's got a good arm, he feels well, but just not a big dynamic mover, and that's scary because he can't overcome any kind of messes in protection or extend plays in any way. And then who else is there? The kid from Eastern Kentucky is
Sam
the other
Howell.
one. Sam Howell.
Matt Corral.
Yeah, so Matt Corral wasn't at the Senior Bowl, but he's a guy that you like his arm strength, you like his athleticism. But I think the thing that makes me nervous about him is so much of his production was predicated on the RPO at Ole Miss. So much of the big plays, like where you kind of got one thing you're looking at, got to deliver a strike. And that is, again, you kind of question his decision making. And you would have loved to see him at the Senior Bowl compared to those other guys.
Yep.
But he wasn't there, obviously, which is too bad because I wanted to see how he could kind of flesh out NFL offense. And that would have answered a lot of questions for me. But, like with all things in the draft process, those questions still remain and will remain. Sam Howell, I don't know how to feel about him, honestly. I really have no clue. He runs, he's like this physical kind of fullback, kind of Tebow-esque style runner, which is not going to translate into the NFL. He's not a good enough athlete to kind of run in the NFL the way he's running in college. He's got a solid arm, but again, there's like a little bit of inaccuracy, a little bit of kind of the ball sail on him. It's just like the group is not super consistent. And I think people like his leadership and I think people like his moxie, and those things are very valuable and those things are important. Yeah. But, I'm not sure you feel comfortable, again, with any of these guys building around long-term outside of maybe those top two. And like I said, even Malik Willis, a guy that I like a lot, the more you watch him, the more you like him, he's a year away. And can this organization wait to do that? So, again, lots of question marks here. And I think that's one of the reasons why you see some of these kind of potential free agents, like Jimmy Garoppolo, for example, getting bumped up in terms of value this offseason.
Yeah, Logan, you need to break down quarterbacks for ESPN. Love that fit for you. Love that. That's so good for you. So anyway, being your best friend, I happen to know that you are a huge Sierra fan. So you knew this question was coming. Sierra's husband, Russell Wilson, has long been rumored. You told me over a game of COD that you really think that he's going to come here, all 5'10" of him. And he's just a thick boy. I know. I was watching highlights of him the other night and I was just like, damn, God, Russell's gotten thick. He's not even this muscular. He's looking pretty big. But if we don't get Russell Wilson, do you think that there's another vet quarterback that we could bring in here? Do you think it's likely at all that Russ comes here?
I mean, so if you're Russell Wilson, why would you come here? Like, let me just ask you that. If you're Russell Wilson, the world is your oyster. Why would you come here? What is the reason? It's to win. You want to win Super Bowls, right? That's the idea. And is this roster in its current form ready to win a Super Bowl? And people will say, whoa, you bring Russell Wilson in and he's ready to go. I'm not sure, man. I think you still need another receiver. I know everyone's talking about Curtis Samuels. Everybody, he's going to be great next year. To me, he's a 3. You got to get a number 2, and you can do that in the draft. But if you're doing it in the draft, you've traded for Russell Wilson, that first-round draft pick is probably gone. So who's available? There are some pieces, but again, there needs to be some growth. I think offensive line, you could probably do some growing there too. Tight end, what's Logan Thomas's status? This is a good tight end draft year in terms of like kind of 3rd, 4th round value. So I think there's some stuff there. But again, if you're Russell Wilson, are you coming here? That is my big question for you guys. Like if you're Russell Wilson, are you coming to the Washington football team? Like what value does it add, especially with all the stuff that's surrounding this organization? I know you're part of a rebrand. You're close to New York. Your wife's going to be pumped, but I don't know. I think there's other opportunities that probably fit him in his skill set better and are more ready to win now. Like I look at Denver, and if I'm a quarterback, I'm looking at very, very, very hard because it's a great location. It's a great roster. They're literally a quarterback away. And I'm not sure you can say the same thing about this roster here.
The thing about Denver, I think Aaron Rodgers is going to go there because he wants to puff the hashish. That's what I've heard. He wants to smoke the chiba. You see him last night? He looked like such a dirty hippie.
He wants to smoke toad venom, Reed. You got to get your drugs right.
I'm sorry. Okay. And ivermectin.
Yeah.
Is that what it was? Yeah.
No, right. But hey, Logan, one thing I will say to that though, with Denver, the other thing I would bring up as a counter argument is Pat Mahomes and Justin Herbert being in that same division, coming here to Washington, less of quarterback competition there. And also, I think the Washington Commanders are almost built like the Seattle Seahawks were back in that day, where defensive dominant, more run-heavy kind of offense. But obviously the offensive line already being better than the Seattle offensive line, I think is something. And then this being his hometown. But that doesn't matter, Logan. I think you brought up fantastic points. But the thing I wanted to ask you, this is Super Bowl this weekend, Logan. So looking at these two teams, what do they each do well at, And what can Washington learn from them, because they both used different avenues in order to get here?
In terms of team building, yeah, I think they did a really nice job of kind of emphasizing how you can get there different ways, different roads, right? But I think there's some tenets that both teams abide by that should be really looked at closely, right? One is they have playmakers. There's a surplus of playmakers on both teams, right? If you look at Kansas City, or not look at Cincinnati, excuse me, they've got 3 legitimate role player kind of receivers, different skill sets, different body types, guys that can execute in different situations, which is awesome. They've got an outstanding running back. They've got a very solid tight end, and they've got, I'd say, an elite quarterback, you know. And then you go to LA, same thing, very deep at the receiver position, good young tight ends. Obviously, Higbee's injury, all those kinds of things, but they were deep at the position, got a solid stable of running backs that can run the football when they need to. Excellent, super well-coached football team in terms of, you know, finding ways to get your playmakers open and use them to their best of their ability. And then you got a quarterback that can execute. And then defensively, I think you got an opportunistic defense. And I think it shows you that defense maybe isn't the most important thing in terms of building a team. It's an offensive-driven league, but they do have pieces and playmakers. Hendrickson on Kansas City, a guy who can create a ton of pressure. Bates in the back end, outstanding job. And obviously everyone knows what LA is bringing to the party in terms of Aaron Donald, Jalen Ramsey, and there's another person there
Von
in the
Miller.
middle. But thank you very much. And he's, you know, the highest graded player in terms of grade by PFF this postseason. So I think that to me is the model. Like, you need as many playmakers on offense as you can, and you need a serviceable defense. So when I look at the Washington football team, and we mentioned them already in terms of why Russell Wilson would want to be here and why you want to come here, I think you need more playmakers. I think the defense is probably good enough. I think you want another rotational piece at a pass rusher on defense if you could. And this is a good year for it, because like, that defensive front at the Senior Bowl looked outstanding. Defensive tackle, defensive end, whatever you need, whatever your cup of tea is, there's pass rushers and good athletes there for you. So this is a great thing to do. Like, everyone wants the new middle linebacker. Sometimes I feel like that can be covered up with better defensive line play or a different defensive scheme. But, you know, obviously linebackers, there's some solid guys at the Senior Bowl there too. So I think, you know, they're a couple pieces away in terms of kind of mimicking this model. And even if you look at the game prior to this, look at the Bills, tons of playmakers. Look at Kansas City, tons of playmakers. That is the thing that this team is missing, and finding ways to get them the football. So to me, those are the two that is the main takeaway from this postseason for the Washington football team. Get more playmakers, get guys you can rely on, get guys that can change the game, and find a person who can facilitate that. And that's not easy. The facilitator is not easy, but you need to make sure those pieces are around that guy in order for this offense and this team to be successful.
What's your Super Bowl pick? Who do you think is going to win?
I really think, if I'm just picking from like an analytics perspective, I really think it's I want to say the St. Louis Rams, but it's the LA Rams now. And, you know, obviously Sean McVay, I think, is an outstanding football coach. I think the thing that I'm going to keep an eye on is Sean does a really good job early in games of scripting for success. He understands what defenses do. He understands their identity really well. And sometimes when teams make changes, it takes him a minute to adapt, because he really likes to be super analytical. But I just think he's going to come out with an outstanding game plan, ready to roll. And I think the only thing that's kind of keeping me from going all in on the Rams is the fact that Cincinnati just seems to be warm right now, very hot in terms of how they've been playing the last couple of weeks. They've just got that it factor. Same thing with Tampa Bay last year. So there's something to be said for that.
You know, Sean McVay kind of has the same body as Russell Wilson.
What are you talking about? Sean McVay is like low-key jacked, though. I don't know how he is now,
but with clothes on, like with a shirt on, like they both look kind of thicker, short.
Stocky build.
Yeah.
Reed's
Reed's all about the thick boys today.
Yeah.
I am about that. Remember that picture of Sam's Reyes?
I knew he was going to bring that up. Jamin Davis is a guy that had a pretty rough rookie year, as his first year, obviously his rookie year. What are some things you like to see him do this upcoming year as his second year? And do you think that if they get a true Mike linebacker in there, that he will be able to succeed on the outside and maybe get into, like I said, what do you want to see him do better if he actually does transition to that outside linebacker role like everyone thinks he can?
I just think, you know, I think there's a lot of raw tools there. I think there's a guy that just needs some refinement. I think there's a lot of fans who want to kind of, you know, mail in the bag when it comes to him and say move on. But I think he's just too skilled to do that. I think when you look around the NFL, that is like the toughest position to play. It's linebacker. And so obviously when you're in the middle, you have a lot to look at. You have a lot to see. You have a lot of gaps to fill. You have a lot of different responsibilities in terms of calling defense, which is very challenging. I just would like him to be a little bit more consistent. Like, because there were games where I thought he looked like the number 19th pick overall. Like I think about, some of the Kansas City game, I thought he did an excellent job. What was the other? There was a couple other games in there where he just looked the part. He was flying to the football. He needs to work on how the defeating blocks if he's going to play in the box more. I think that's a big thing that I want to keep an eye on this offseason and moving through the preseason. How does he defeat blocks? That's something he wasn't great at in college. Something you can learn to do better, but how much better can he get in an offseason? And then I'd like to just see him be a more consistent tackler, because I think like in the Oakland game, for example, he would have had like probably 15 tackles, but he's missing a couple. He's overshooting, taking poor angles. And I think all that stuff, it's there, man. It's just got to click for him. I think he's a tremendous athlete. You see him flying all over the field. And this is another thing we've talked about on the show. If you can cover him up, if you can let him run to the football, he's a dangerous weapon, because that's what they did at Kentucky. They did a great job of getting this big defensive front, cover him up, make sure he doesn't have to deal with taking on blocks too much. And he was a totally different player. And so I think that's something maybe that they should think about this offseason. There's some big kind of nose 3-tech players in there to help cover him up, which might help his development. But I also think just getting a veteran in the room would be very helpful. A guy, teach him how to be a pro, teach him how to study film, teach him how to prep for each week, because that stuff's really hard for young guys to learn.
Yeah. So what does Julie Donaldson offer you that I don't? I'm just kidding. Because I know you guys are friends now, but NBD. Outside of linebacker, what do you think is our biggest need on defense? Because this defense really regressed last season.
Yeah, that regression, everyone talks about that, but I think when you just look at kind of long-term trends in the NFL, if you play better teams, the defenses get worse. When you play worse teams, the defenses get better. So I'm quite frankly, I'm expecting them to kind of bounce back this year. I think they're going to play, they're playing, their schedule is going to be more conducive. They're not going to play quarterbacks who are skilled, and I think they're going to see an uptick. I mean, I think you can make an addition at safety. I think that would be nice, just add some depth there. Not that those guys played bad. I think Landon Collins played really well. Cameron Crowe played really well, but I think that's an area that maybe you could add a piece. Bobby McCain did an excellent job. You can never have enough corners. Like those pieces, it's so funny. People are like, oh, we're good. We're set. We just need to re-sign the guys. I'm not a big advocate of that in my post-playing career. As a player, I believe that wholeheartedly, but now that I'm kind of taking a 1,000-foot view of team building, you can never have enough depth, especially at those positions. And that's why I'm advocating even now to take defensive line, right? Like everyone's like, why we have so much draft capital invested there. But those groups can cover up a lot on the back end. If you look at Robert Solid led defenses, right? They have a nice 4-man rotation. It's almost like a hockey shift coming in. You get fresh guys, you get those guys playing less plays, leads to more productive, leads to less stress on the back end of the defense. I think that's always good stuff. So as much as people want to say we're good, we don't need to add any pieces outside of linebacker, I'm not an advocate of that. If there's a corner you like, take him. If there's a safety you like, take him. Defensive line help, internal, external, take it, right? And I think that's the way to go, right? I think the one spot you don't really need to worry about is edge linebacker at the moment, but even there you could add depth, right? Well, look what happened when everyone started getting banged up. There wasn't a ton going on there. So that's something in the draft, in free agency, you always need to be overhauling and restocking. And that's, I think, hard for fans to hear because they build up these relationships and they want to support the team, but you always have to kind of reload the gun and be ready to go for the next season.
Yeah, and to wrap this up, Logan, I got a couple more questions for you. Let's take it back off the field. But the new uniforms have been a lot of contention around Twitter and the fan base just because of little nitpicky details with it. Did you have a favorite uniform concept or helmet style that you liked that they rolled out?
No, honestly, this might come as a surprise to you guys as I sit here in my gray T-shirt, but I'm not a very fashion-forward type of person.
No,
as long as it serves a function of keeping the pads tight to my body and my head protected with that helmet, I don't really give it. I don't care about how it looks. I really don't. Like, you could go out there dressed as a banana, and I'm going to play football. So when I saw them, that was the last thing I was thinking about. I'm sure people are going to have their opinions about it. I know some fans came out with some really fun kind of designs that I thought were really cool. And it's always interesting when these multi-billion-dollar organizations have 2 years to roll something out, and the fan who's been working on in his computer at home for an afternoon comes up with something that's comparable or maybe even better. I'm always blown away by that. But again, personally, I don't care. I know, so I understand that there are seemingly better options out there, but it is what it is. And those guys are going to wear them and they're going to be happy wearing them. So.
Yeah, and then another point of contention this week on Twitter and all over the world, was a question that got brought up to John Allen. So I'm going to ask it to you. Who are 3 people that you would want to have dinner with, living or dead?
Well, I think there's 3 people on this podcast I'd like to have dinner.
Hey, thanks.
Living.
Thanks.
So we can get that worked out. But, like if we're going the dead route, I think probably like Abraham Lincoln would be pretty dope to talk to him.
Yeah, he's pretty cool. He's pretty chill.
Yeah, like Julius Caesar, maybe. And then like George Washington would be cool.
Yes.
Martin Luther King, all those kind of guys.
Yeah.
Like anybody who's like Muhammad Gandhi, just people who like change the world in a positive way, I think are pretty spectacular.
Yeah, and then my next
I like
question,
the first answer better. I don't know, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
my next question to you, Brandon Sheriff. Would you bring Brandon Sheriff back? And what percentage chance do you put of him coming back?
That's a really good question. I do get the vibe. I talked to him like probably a year ago now, like in the facility, and I just got the vibe. And I talked to a guy that knows him really well, former coach, and I got the vibe from both of them that they wanted something different than what the organization was providing at the time, and it's not necessarily that's not an indictment of here. He said, I really want to be closer to home. And I can't fault the guy for that. If it's not right for you here, then you got to find someplace where it is and someplace where it's better for you and your family. And he's in a position where he can be selective with those decisions. So I think he probably, if it's up to him totally, would probably like to move on. I think in some ways, I think it's probably better for the team too. I think he's kind of reaching a point where he's one of the best at the position when he's healthy, but he's not as healthy as he once was. Guard is not like this great position of value in terms of adding, you can kind of get, what's that, like wins above replacement, right? So you can kind of bring in Wes Schweitzer. Wes Schweitzer looked pretty dang good this year. Yeah. I'm not saying you don't need to bring in another piece. Like you obviously need to draft somebody, bring in a free agent to supplement this and support this. But, I just think for the cost, and if they're going to be bringing in a free agent quarterback, you want to kind of free up some cap room and allow this roster to grow and allow Sheriff to do what he wants and what he feels is best. So if it works out for both parties, I think, yeah, absolutely bring him back. But I do think he's starting to price himself out of his value in my estimation. And that's not a criticism of him or how he's played. It's just a criticism of more how it's been hard for him to stay healthy. And I don't think that's entirely his fault. I think, when the coaching staff prior was here, they really kind of beat up on him a lot and they asked a lot of him in terms of playing and in practice and things like that. But yeah, man, I just hope he gets what he wants and I hope the team gets what they want. And I think it's tough because very rarely do those things coincide. So I think someone's going to be upset, but hopefully, I'm in Brandon's corner here. I hope that he gets exactly what he needs out of the whole situation.
Now, for coming up into this year, it's my last one for you, I promise. Coming up into this year, do you think expectations for Chase Young are going to be more or less than last season, just given the fact that this being his 3rd year?
Yeah, I think that's a really good question. I mean, I think he was catching a lot of heat last year, I think, for a myriad of things. I think, and to a certain extent, like they was probably warranted. And I know that's probably, it's hard for me to say that as a former player, but I think when you see that type of potential, when you see what he brings physically, and you just see a guy who maybe isn't as prepared as he possibly could be, I think that's kind of frustrating for me as a fan of good football and a fan of him, really. Like I want what's best for him and I want him to be productive. So I expect him to bounce back and be very productive and kind of attack this rehab and attack this offseason in a way that's going to put himself in a good position to be successful and help the team be successful. And so like with Brandon, I'm rooting for Chase. I want him to be better. And I think, I think the expectations are going to be high and I think they should be high.
All right, thank you so much for being able to come on here, Professor Paulsen, being able to bring us your intellect and to break down this football team and everything that's going on with it as a new commander, sir. And make sure you guys go and follow Professor Paulsen on Instagram, Logan_Paulsen82. I got it that time, Logan.
You did, you nailed it, man.
Logan, when are you going to get on Twitter?
Oh, I don't know, man. It's a dicey spot out there.
Yeah, don't do it.
He's already on Twitter. He's got a burner.
Yeah.
He's got a burner.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us, Logan. I hope you have a good night, sir. Enjoy your time with Grant on 106.7, and make sure you don't give him as great stuff as you give us, all right?
That's right. Absolutely.
Yeah. All right,
absolutely.
Logan.
And don't listen to
sir.
Danny.
Enjoy the Super Bowl, sir.
All right, you guys too. Take it easy.
All right, Logan.
Have a good weekend, man.
All right, everybody. We just spoke with the man, Mr. Logan Paulsen, as always.
What a
fantastic.
guy. What a guy.
What
yeah.
a guy.
Yeah, he's my best friend. He's pretty cool.
He's all right. He's okay. He's all right.
It's true.
Hey, so I wanted to ask you guys, Reed, you weren't here on Monday, but the whole Russell Wilson with the Pro Bowl looks like Sierra and John Allen. I mean, there was some talk in there, wasn't there?
Yeah, I mean, hey, if that's what she's into, her and John Allen. No, yeah, she seems to. It seems like her and John Allen's wife are pretty close. Like, I mean, granted, it's just pictures, but like they seem to be hanging out, talking a lot. I do know there's a couple accounts that we follow from the Burgundies on Instagram, and they're Eagles fan accounts, or kind of like, I guess, like podcasts or something, and they're doing the same. They're posting pictures. They're like, "Oh, did you see Russ signed an Eagles hat while we were there? We need him. We can offer Jalen Hurts and two of our first round picks." And they're right though. They have so much ammo. How pissed off would you be if he went to Philly?
It'd be very pissed off because you're right.
I would cry.
They do have a bunch of ammo, and it's not cool. And especially with the Giants loading up their coaching staff, they're putting together a quality staff up there in New York. But before we get joined by our next guest, I want to ask you guys a question from the Colonel himself. Are there any decent, juicy rumors about where we're going at quarterback or middle linebacker with any ounce of credibility, Reed?
Obviously, the Russell Wilson one I think is pretty credible. I mean, just the fact that he wouldn't veto a trade here, the whole him and John Allen thing, of course, but we all know about that one. Apparently, Washington has been doing some homework on Desmond Ridder. I think that's pretty interesting because I like Ridder, but Logan's right. He does have some throws. He seems to take a while to get going with his accuracy. If you watch the games early on in games, he really seems to struggle, but he kind of gets more comfortable and gets in there and it makes some unbelievable plays. He's got all the tools. He's got a lot of starts under his belt. He definitely elevated that team. So it'll be interesting to see how people view him after the combine. But yeah, I don't know. I really think that we're going to go the veteran route, but I haven't heard anything other than the Russell Wilson.
Yeah, Colonel, I did hear that Washington met with all 5 quarterbacks at the Senior Bowl. They interviewed all of them, so they're doing their due diligence with the quarterback part of it. Middle linebacker, I can't really tell you what's going to go on there because it's all indicative of what they do at quarterback. Because if they're shipping out a bunch of picks for Russell Wilson, they're not going to be able to get one of the better linebackers in the front half of that first round. But you got guys like Chad Momo, you got Darian Bevers with Cincinnati as well. Really, and Devin Lloyd from Utah, who I love is going to be in the top half of that first round. But nothing else really about middle linebacker. But I'm not sure if draft is going to be where they're going to go. I really don't. I'm not sure if that's where it's going to go down. I don't think that 11th overall is going to be on a quarterback. Like Logan talked about, you need to be able to
have to trade up.
Yeah, they're going to have to add somebody like a wide receiver or something along that line, in my personal opinion. But, Hall, have you heard anything?
No, just the normal. If you're a quarterback that might be available, is available, or wants to be available, then you're probably going to be linked to Washington. So, I mean, I know there was a lot of smoke around Mitch Trubisky, just because I know going back to last year, they almost pulled the trigger on bringing him here, and obviously the familiarity with the whole Bills like coaching staff with them being under Ron Rivera. So that could definitely almost maybe be in play if like as like a second or third like fallback plan. But like I said, outside of quarterback and any available quarterback that's going to be available or something like that, just the normal quarterback rumors that we've been having for 30 years pretty much.
Yeah, and Hall,
I did hear something about Kyler Murray wanting to go play baseball.
Really?
Yeah, that's what the whole him either needing a way bigger contract or stepping away from baseball. I don't know how true that is, but that would be.
He's just using that as leverage.
Yeah, he's just using it as leverage. That's all.
Yeah, because he's a small guy and like nobody's intimidated by him. So like I think that like he's using that to his advantage.
Yeah,
there's another rumor that popped up. People are going crazy, like, "Oh, let's go get Kyler," but it's not going to happen.
Yeah. No.
Latest that come about was John Riggins on his podcast talked about how he felt completely disenfranchised from the Redskins with this new Commander's name. So they're not selling his the merchandise that says Commanders on it. They pulled that jersey down. So now it's just straight up a burgundy jersey that looks like the old kind of Washington Redskins jersey without any numbering on it or lettering here describing the team. It's just his last name on the back. What do you think about that, Reed? What was your opinion on that?
Well, at first, like I kind of get it, but at the same time, like you don't have to come right out and say it. Like, what are you, John Riggins? Are you drunk again? What's going on? He likes his beer. He's a nice guy. I actually met John Riggins. I ran his audio when he gave a speech to the Damascus football team back in like 2010 or something. And the person who was representing him was the guy from Borat, the guy who's like, this suit is black knot, who's the humor instructor.
Yeah.
Trying to, that was I swear to God, him and John Riggins are like this, like they hang out all the time apparently. So that was pretty cool. But other than that, no, it was kind of disappointed. Like, I get people don't like the name, but like, just don't. Like, I don't really care what John Riggins thinks right now. I love the guy. Thank you for bringing me Super Bowls that I never got to see. But get off my lawn, like Hall said. It's like an old man yelling at the clouds meme.
Yeah, I talked about it last week on Big Doug's pod, and I talked about it on here as well. When somebody had asked that none of the Ring of Fame numbers and jerseys that were retired from previous players should go with the Commanders. It should be a blank slate. And I said, look, it should go to the player or the player's family to say, look, do you want to still be attached to this name? And if you don't, then you'll be forgotten about. And I know people will make comments about the run and how historic it was. Yeah, you're right. But in some capacity, Sonny Jurgensen and Sammy Ball don't have the same muster they did 20, 30 years ago. And if Washington, let's just say, wins a Super Bowl or two, maybe possibly three, in the future, next 20 years, are they really going to covet the first three Super Bowls as much as they are right now? And I don't believe that's the case. So, and if anyone is going to be able to bring along the history, remind the younger fans of what the history was, of what they were able to do here and how awesome they were, it should be somebody like Riggins, who has a lot of respect from the fan base that the fan base absolutely loves. And I'm not saying that Riggins is going to be forgotten about completely. I don't think that. But I'm talking about the younger fan base. What's the saying? Out of sight, out of mind, right? And that's kind of how I feel. If you don't want to be attached to it, more likely of a chance that you're going to be forgotten about in 10, 15 years. That's just how I feel about it. That's Riggins' opinion. I would love for Riggins to be a part of the Washington Commanders and the future so he can continue to educate and show the younger fans of what it really means to be a professional and a champion. But that's up to him, man.
Yeah, you pretty much hit a lot of my points where – like, I respect where his point of view is, because obviously he was a Redskin. He won a Super Bowl as a Redskin, and he doesn't want to be associated with the Commanders. But I just feel like if they start winning games, just like the fans that are talking about they're leaving this team, they're done with the team, just like everybody like saying, oh, I'm leaving because they changed the name. They start winning games. They start putting a better product on the field. They get a better stadium, which looks like it's coming down the pipeline very, very soon. He's going to come back. He's probably going to, all the other alumni are going to like start talking to him. And I guarantee he'll embrace the name and embrace the franchise again. But I also think it's part of it is like, he doesn't like Dan. So that's like a part of it why he doesn't embrace the Commanders or embrace anything nowadays. But like you said, a lot of his fans that are like, know who he is are getting older. Like, obviously they're older than us. They're getting up there. So like you said, for him to like stay relevant as a Washington player in this franchise, you got to be around the team. You got to embrace the new name. You got to embrace the new era so that you are teaching the newer generation about the run, about the history of this team. And he's a part of that history. And like you said, no one's hating on Riggo. Everyone loves Riggo, but like you said, at the end of the day, it's a new era and it's time to move on. You got to move forward. And if you don't want to move forward, I guess you're going to be stuck in the past.
You should have seen this guy's comment on Twitter back to me about this Riggo thing. It was hysterical.
What did he say? Was it his rag? Was it his rag that commented?
No, dude said something like, he's worried about Riggo being remembered. Nobody's going to remember his stupid podcast. Like, who said I wanted to be remembered?
First of all, sir, valid point. Okay. I don't know what else to say to that, but all I gotta say is he's probably the same person who's tweeting at Keith, being like, "You got a Letterman jacket? You're a sellout, bro. This ruined my day. This ruined my week so bad that I got to tweet about it. Log off of the internet. I guarantee your profile picture's an egg. Nobody wants to see that. Put your face on there, please. Not that I would do anything. I just want to know what you look like. I'm just interested. Okay."
No, I understand. And speak of the devil, it seems like he almost heard you in a sense.
That's why I said it.
We are now joined by our next guest. Oh my goodness,
he's wearing it.
Keith and his jacket.
Great.
My week is ruined. Now I got to go write 1,000 tweets about it because Keith's wearing the jacket.
What's going on, gentlemen?
I'm done with this podcast. Never again.
Yeah, we're never going to be remembered because of this.
Thank you for joining us, Mr. Burgundy jacket with white sleeves.
Hey, man. Thanks for having me. Man, this real leather.
What is that? Yeah.
Oh, it smells crazy. Man, this real leather smells nice.
I heard that they made Logan Paulsen go out there and kill 4 giraffes to make that leather. With his bare hands.
Hey, he'd be the guy to do it.
All right, so
he is.
To give you guys a little context, on Twitter the other day, Keith had posted a picture of him receiving the package with the Letterman jacket in it. Everyone started flipping out. So Keith started doing a photo shoot in different poses. You know, he did the one throw pose, and then he woke up in the morning, put the jacket on while he's laying in bed, smiling, just really trolling everybody. So it's awesome, Keith. I'm glad that you were able to get a jacket. It looks great on you. I'm glad you're able to flaunt it for all of your haters, because it's well warranted, sir. But I wanted to get your opinion, because we had just talked about Riggo's comments about feeling completely disenfranchised from the Redskins name. I know it's something that's very dear and close to your heart. So I wanted to get your opinion on Riggo's quote.
Yeah, I don't disagree with him 100%. I actually appreciate the fact that he wasn't afraid to come out and say,
right,
his thoughts and opinions, especially with, as we can see just this week alone, players wanting to get canceled for interacting with fans based upon an opinion, right? So now we have Riggo. This is, coming out and giving his opinion. He's not wrong for the way that he feels. Me personally, it's not something that I would do, but at the same time, I also recognize and realize I'm no one to tell anyone how to spend their money. So if they choose to do something like that, not necessarily Riggins, because now I heard it's all pulled off, Fanatics and all of that.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's confirmed, but if other people decide that they want to take a Commander's jersey and they want to put Darryl Green on it, that's their prerogative. And the reason is because it's their own money. Right? We should not be dipping our hands in people's bank accounts and telling them what they should and shouldn't do. So, but me personally, I wouldn't do it. And I agree with, Riggins 100%. Again, this is going back to these alumni, man. They're not really happy with this process. If you really truly talk to them about it, they want to be recognized as Redskins, and very well as they should.
Yeah, and I think that there is some sort of legal blockade with that, because I don't think they have the rights to the Redskins, and I don't think that the actual sites that are manufacturers are going to be able to. Remember, they pulled all the Redskins merch before the name change. It was one of the things that they did. They're like, oh, we're not going to allow this to happen. So there's the blockade, because Washington would easily say, yeah, we'll put the Redskins back on just to have Riggins be able to sell his jersey. But in the same breath, that company is not going to put it up there. So who's at fault? And that's where it's kind of like, what are we going to do here? You know what I mean?
Right. Well, what's interesting to me is the fact that, and I don't know if I could say interesting, but moving forward from what I've been told, this team is actually going to recognize the Super Bowl trophies as Washington Redskins, and they're not going to be afraid to say it.
Good.
They're not going to be afraid to put it in writing for montage videos or whatever it is that they do. And I hope that they stay true to what was told to me. And that was someone very high in the ladder that gave me that information Friday night. And
his name rhyme
that
with
was
Mason Light.
Or does it rhyme
Does
with
his name rhyme with Mason
hand
Light?
fighter?
No, Mason Flight wasn't there that evening. Not that I saw. But it does rhyme with Foey, Holby, Kekovich, and okay, I just totally made that up.
No, you didn't. Nobody,
but that was information that I didn't try to get out of anybody. That was just straight up told to me. And I looked at that as a huge sign of respect as a fan, that this person decided that I was going to be the one that he's going to tell that to, not that it's a secret. And I even asked him, I said, hey, do you mind if I go out in the world and tell people? Because maybe that will put some people who used to be like me 2 years ago and put it at ease. Right? Because we've always wondered, what are they going to do? What are they going to do? Are they going to say Washington Commanders, 3 Super Bowl trophies? No, they're not, from what I'm told. And I hope that they stay true to that. So,
that two things. One, I noticed they were saying Redskins a lot more freely when they announced the name. Like during those hype videos, all of them said Redskins. So I think you're right. They completely stayed away from that word over the last few years. Another thing, I don't know whether it's the lighting or what, but I see the 3D W so clearly right now on your jacket. Like it's usually, it just looks like the normal W with line strip, but right now it looks super 3D.
Super. It's like 2 V's, and then it's so mesmerizing on this jacket. It's unbelievable.
It is crazy though that they took 2 years to make 3 lines.
Listen, man, I think a lot of it had to do, a lot of people
it's smart.
say that, and it's funny, but I think a lot of it had to do really with getting the trademarks under wrap and really getting it all together. I mean, honestly, I could have maybe now when we see things the way that they are now, we could have said, you know what, you guys take another year or two, like really get this right, because there are some things that came out that seems rushed. Their methodology, as Jason Wright puts it, for the wrong Super Bowl years, it doesn't align with what the fans were wanting. And these are the things, and I'm shaking my head too, because to me, it's not a big deal. And at the end of the day, it can get fixed. But again, I'm going to be free and open. I told it to everyone's face. If they would have utilized the ambassadors, the fan ambassadors, to talk about this type of stuff, we could have helped them with it. But I understand their position, and their position was, we ain't letting anybody in on what's going on because, you know, cat's out of the bag. And people, you know, with this whole name reveal and the leaks the night before, this is how this game works. Those people knew about this, right? We saw pictures of this on a shirt and we're like, where did that come from? And then all these late, you know, or early evening leaks right before, these people were sitting on this information way ahead of time, right? They were waiting for the perfect moment and they killed it. And then their own affiliate that they did the actual name reveal on, their own affiliate dimed them out by flying a plane.
That was
or a helicopter.
Crazy.
Absolutely crazy.
That perfect position where they zoomed in perfectly in that tiny window to get the shot of Commanders. Like, that is some, first of all, shout out to that pilot, shout out to his family. But then like, just like to be able to do that, good for them. That's terrible. I mean, like, screw them, but also good for you.
Right.
Amazing.
And so, I mean, at the end of the day, it was just like, it was whatever, but you know, to go back, I mean, it is what it is. This is where we stand. And I think that people need to understand moving forward, any of these little mistakes, and that's up for speculation and opinion too, right? Everything is. But these mistakes, they can be fixed, man. And just,
I was a mistake.
Everyone needs to calm down.
Oh my God, dude.
Calm down, dude. I never even wore a varsity jacket in high school.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, me either, because I was bullied.
Right. Oh, I wasn't bullied. I was cool as shit. But anyways,
I'm 40.
Right. I'm 43 and still cool as shit. But anyways, at this point, like, you know, this whole year I kind of, well, you know what? I'm not going to use your guys' platform to sound cool, but at the end of the day, I can't be messed with. They keep giving me stuff. Keep giving me stuff. I can't be messed with. But I'm not going to use your platform to bitch and complain about anybody. This is not this kind of show. We'll save that weirdness for.
Oh no, it is that kind of show. Yeah.
Well, it can be, but you know, again, you know, I don't want it to turn around. Oh, there's Keith talking about himself again. You're damn right I am. You know why I am?
As long as
you know why I am. You know why I am, people who listen, because I'm cool as shit. And if you gave me the opportunity and you actually met me and you got to know me, you wouldn't be talking all that shit on Twitter.
No, you really wouldn't.
No, you
wouldn't.
Carry on.
As long as you're not John Riggins referring to yourself in third person, you're good with me. But I want to get to a fan question, Keith. I want to go to you with this one first. There's some big Tony Shivers. What's on y'all's
I love that guy.
Super Bowl menu? So what are you eating on Super Bowl Sunday?
Oh, this is going to be great. Keith has the palate of a third grader.
So I'm definitely putting chicken nuggies on the menu.
Nuggies,
boneless wings.
Chicken nuggies is definitely on that menu. It's going to be a platter. I'm also going to throw a pretty badass bowl of mac and cheese for anyone.
Ooh, very plain.
And I'm going to straight up tell them, you don't even need spoons, man. Just dip your hand in there. It's going to be so cheesy. Right. And then definitely we are going to go hardcore, and I'm talking hardcore. We are getting crazy in my house. Juice boxes all day, Capri Suns, throwing it down.
And pouches,
And what? How's your party looking? Thanks for the question, Tony.
How many Lunchables do you have to buy to get all the Capri Suns that you need for the party?
Oh no, man!
I steal them from Lunchables.
I'm pretty sure Keith's house is stocked up on Lunchables.
It's stocked up.
I don't think he has to worry about
that.
My own young kids yell at me like, "Dude, why are you eating my stuff?"
And because I bought it, my God.
Like for real, like get a job. Hey, how about hey kid, hey 6-year-old, hey buddy, you want my jacket? Too bad. It's mine.
They chose
All right.
you.
But
They
Tony,
chose me.
Tony, I'm not gonna lie to you, dude. Like, I even asked my wife, Taylor, like, what are we even doing for the Super Bowl? I'm probably gonna go basic. I'm gonna go white girl with this, and I'm probably just gonna get pizza. Order from like Pizza Hut or something like that. I wish we still had the Old Man Gino's up in Germantown, the best pizza ever. But
Yeah.
It's still in Germantown. What do you mean?
yeah, but they sold ownership. The ownership sucks now, and they don't make the same pizza.
No, it's the same dude that was working at the gas station.
No, dude, they sold ownership. It's new people.
Oh, did they really?
Yeah,
Eric
that's-
Mangino used to coach the Bills or the Jets.
Eric
He used to coach
Mangino.
the Patriots.
What about you, Reed? Are you what are you eating on Sunday? You got anything planned?
Oh, dude, I am a parent with a 1-year-old. We aren't doing nothing. Just like you, Kyle, we're going to keep it super basic. Because if I made something cool, James would just go mess it up. That's what he does. He grabs shit and he throws it on the floor from the counters. So I can't even cook anything cool. So Lunchables all the way around.
Right. What about you, Hall?
Well, I don't even know where I'm going to watch the game at. Probably at Gavin's, which means there's probably going to be there no food there, only beer.
Don't brush your teeth.
So
Oh,
with that
wrong-
being
wrong
said,
person.
I'm probably there's a McDonald's around the corner, so I might go to Mickey D's, or they might have some wings. Who knows? But most likely just beer.
I'm so glad you didn't hear that. Now, the next question that we have is from Jeff Miles. Where are you guys with the white and black jerseys, and when are they going to be available, Keith?
Black jersey, fine, man. It's something new and different. I'm cool with it. Fans have been calling for the black alternates for a long time.
Woo!
I'm for it.
FIBA.
You know what I like about it too? It's different. It's
Yep.
different from a lot of the, all the jerseys that we've seen. So cool. White jersey, trash. I don't care what anybody says. That
Really?
jersey is trash. I can't stand it. But at the same time, I also recognize this is not the Washington Keiths. So therefore, everyone's taste are going to be different, right? So what I've noticed through my Twitter journey under KG Skins 26, don't follow me because I don't like you. I'm just sorry. I'm petty today, man. I really am. The pettiness has flowed
I
through.
like it.
I'm just
Best
kidding.
Keith,
I'm just
arguably.
kidding. No, to answer this the question seriously, I don't care for the white jerseys, but I also understand that this isn't the Washington Keiths, right? And when you pay attention to a lot of tweets that you see on Twitter, you see a lot of the younger fan base that actually likes the jersey. I applaud once again, though, at least the jersey is different from what we've seen from other teams in the league. So even though I may not like it, if other people do, cool. And I can't wait to see it on the field, and maybe it'll look different than what I've seen in pictures.
Do you have any idea of when they'd be offered for purchase for fans?
Yeah, good question on that. It's one that I've actually been tossing out in the ambassador chat. We haven't got any answers on it. Not even sure why just the Burgundy jersey was put out and not those two.
Well, if for a marketing dude to build up the suspense for it and everything, it would make a lot of sense because once they do unleash it, it's going to be blown out. I'm not sure if they're going to have any extra. To be perfectly honest, everyone wants one of those black jerseys. But
yeah, I agree.
our next question is from Scott Hartley in the UK.
Oi.
Putting your GM hat on again, with the quarterback shakeup of free agents and those on the trading block, Kyler asking for a massive contract extension in Arizona, who do you want as the quarterback, and who do you realistically think we end up with as the day one starter, Hall?
Well, my number one choice has always been Watson, but obviously I know the optics and all the other stuff that comes along with that. Even though it doesn't look like they might not be afraid to swing and possibly hit a home run with that. But at the end of the day, if they don't get Watson, I completely understand. I wouldn't really trip off of that. But my 1A obviously would be Russell Wilson. I'm willing to give up. Well, obviously I'm willing to give up because it's not me. But I'm hoping that they gave up like 2 to 3 first rounders for him. I'd be cool with that. But if they swing big and don't really hit anyone, then I'm cool with them going the rookie route and maybe going Kenny Pickett or Malik Willis, or going I don't know, so many routes. I wouldn't be mad if they drafted Desmond Ridder, honestly, in the second round. So there's a lot of different avenues to go, but my number one avenue would be the Watson and Russell Wilson somewhere in that mix.
Okay. Well, who do I want as the quarterback? I mean, I would love, obviously, Aaron Rodgers. I just don't realistically, obviously, like you said, Scott, I don't think that's going to happen just based on he wants to go smoke toad venom. He's a hippie. He wants to go in the mountains and have fun with his girlfriend. And I completely understand that, dude. It's a free country. If you want to go smoke toad venom or whatever it is, do your thing. But realistically,
Keep talking about toad venom. I want to try this stuff, man.
you probably don't want to.
Yeah.
Paul. I'm just going to
No,
go out there.
it turns you into a dirty hippie when you go to the NFL awards.
But Aaron
Yeah.
Rodgers looks like a dirty hippie and he has money. So like,
That's what I'm
maybe
saying.
like,
Yeah,
like
but he
lots
also
of
dates
rich and
bow-legged
famous,
broads like
rich
Danica
and
Patrick.
famous,
You know, I'm just
Oh my god! But honestly, realistically, who's going to be the day one starter? I think what's going to happen is they're not going to grab any of these quarterbacks. They're going to end up drafting one of these quarterbacks. They're going to be sitting for a year, and Taylor Heinicke's going to be starting next season.
Don't you
that's
put
just how
that
I
out
see
there
it.
like that.
That's just how I see it, brother.
Don't you put that bad juju out there.
What about you, Reed?
I'm on the.
I'm saying realistically.
There would probably be like
Thick.
one fan in the stadium next year if that really happens.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I'm gonna go with the short, thick Sierra, Mr. Sierra. I want him to do his 1-2 step on over here to DC. You know what I'm saying? I'm all in on Russ, man. I know.
Tell
but
Russ to
it's-
come get your goodies.
I will. Yeah. His goodies. But it's gonna be hard, like especially like seeing how hard the Eagles actually want him. They have so much more to offer than us.
Yeah.
But we have a new name and a new establishment, so beat that.
Keith,
You know?
I know where you're going with this.
Yeah, I'm all in for Russell Westbrook. Or what did I just say? Russell
I don't know.
Westbrook. Oh man, I'm all in for him too. I mean, at this point, anybody's better than Taylor Heineke. No, I'm all in for Russell Wilson. My bad.
Yeah.
Definitely give me Wilson. I mean, I don't see anything else. I mean, I don't hate the idea if we go, quarterback in the draft and we go that route, but it's just still putting us in the same position. And then when you start to think about this whole thing logically, man, we got a new brand. You need that quarterback to launch that brand, and I think Russ is the only one that can do it. And plus, my milkshake brings all the boys to the yard. So let's do this.
That's a different artist, but yeah.
What? Dude, I didn't even pick up on that. I thought it was Sierra. Oh my goodness. Now the next question is from Burrows in the UK. Oi. Do you guys feel the running of the football is becoming a lost art in the NFL these days? Everyone wants to see 45 to 50-yard bombs, etc. The days of running the ball don't get talked about anymore by most. Keith.
I don't even understand that question. Andy is
that a question?
It's like he's speaking a different language.
Are you telling me? Don't talk to me like that, Andy.
He still speaks English, guys. It's just.
Do you guys feel, Keith? Do you feel the running the football is a lost art?
No, I mean it's always been in the game, but it's not it's not pretty right now, and it hasn't been for a long time. I mean, this is an air game. I mean, it's a passing, it's all offensive game right now. Later on down the road, it's going to change. I mean, the run game, got, real popular when dudes were running, Wildcat and that type of stuff, like all these fancy, crazy different offenses. Same thing with the pistol when RG3 and Alfred Morris was around. That's when the run game was fun because there was a little bit of trickery put in it. But at the end of the day, it's not a position that people are going to be like, oh, because you don't see these 75, 80-yard breakaway touchdowns like you used to in the past. The game is a lot different now.
Yeah, I agree with you in that aspect. I don't think it's a lost art, Andy. It's just the rules based on how they're mapped out. It's much better of a chance for you to throw that 50-yard bomb because you might get a pass interference, which is an automatic 50-yard pickup, right? So it makes more sense for coordinators to go downfield in that aspect. But running the football is so important. It helps out a lot of quarterbacks in this league, being able to do that with play action. So it's very important for running the football. And then when you get into those cold weather games like Josh Allen going against the Patriots, running the football was a difference, right? And they ran it down their throat. And so it is important, but it's only important for crucial situations. And like everyone says, you might say running the football is lost art, but when you're up by 4 with 2 minutes left and they know that you're going to run the football, that's where you have to be able to do it. And as much as you might think it's a lost art, it's not. There's a lot that goes into it, but it's an unforgiving job. That's what O-line doesn't get a lot of shout outs, but when they run the football well, they do. And it's well deserved when they do it. What about you, Hall?
Yeah, I'm with you. I definitely think the running game is definitely more situational nowadays and like the NFL nowadays. And I also think it depends on the coach and the offensive coordinator and what you want to do with your offense. I mean, look at guys like Kyle Shanahan, who's a run game genius. Sean McVay is known for throwing the ball, but a lot of his offense is based off of the running game and the play action. So, again, the Dolphins with their new coach, what's his name, Logic or Mike McDaniel, something like that.
Dolphin.
He's supposed to be a run game genius, just like Shanahan. So Ron Rivera is a defensive guy that likes to run the ball, play defense. So I definitely think it's more situational, like you said, 4-minute offense, goal line, stuff like that, run the clock out. But yeah, it just depends on the situation and the coach. But at the end of the day, there's the extension of the run game is like all the screen games, all the quick games.
Yeah.
So it's just evolving. The NFL evolves.
Yeah, so now the next question is from Commander Doug.
Yeah, it's okay. I didn't want to
Big Douglas Show. He has a question for us. He says, I like Dubs or the Brass, a nickname for officers in the military as kind of an abbreviation for the Commander fan base to be able to use when describing, because we had skins, you got the caps, nats. So what is it going to be for Commanders? And he says it's Dubs or the Brass. What do you think about that, Keith? What do you want it to be?
No.
Reed, go ahead.
I don't want to answer.
Yeah, go
Thank
ahead.
you, Keith.
I was saving you for last, Reed. God.
Well, why? So you could skip me again?
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. No, Dubs, I like it. It's just the only thing. It just reminds me of the Warriors. I mean, so they are kind of already have that on lockdown. But that's way better than commies. I don't know. We got to come up with something. Siege just reminds me of the Celtics. Brass, maybe. No, I would never say I'm going to a Brass game. Yeah, it's hard, man. It's unfortunately I think it'll end up being commies, but I'm gonna go with the Durs. I'm gonna go to the Durs games. It remards me of Workaholics. No, it's a terrible name. It's hard.
The other day.
Yeah, it's so good.
Yeah. Well,
And I let him ahead of me. Good Lord.
Yeah, I guess. Durs.
Why don't we just kick him off the show and put me as the host? Because that was
because
wild.
Keith. Damn.
Keith, go now. What do you think?
No disrespect to the gentleman who asked the question. I personally don't care. I don't think a name needs to be shortened. Like, I feel like we're spending way too much time on this nonsense about it. Just call them Commanders. Like, I'm going to a Commanders game. I'm going, like, it doesn't have to be shortened. But again, like I said, no disrespect to his question because other people think differently. And you know what? I'm here for the people in my jacket.
You were growing every day, Keith. You just continue to grow into the great man that you are.
I appreciate you. Thank you.
The one thing I say is comms, COMMS. You have a comms guy in the military. That is their name. That's their job. That's what they do. They communicate with other units, be able to put guys in position, make sure that everyone is set up for success. So I think comms makes the most sense. You got the Nats, Caps, comms, and
you changed one letter though, and it's like.
Yeah, I know. But that's why there's two M's, okay? That's why there's two M's. Okay. I know Nash.
I was like, where's he going with this?
Nash in our group chat actually made that joke.
And Rigo's rag would be a little bit more gross. You know what I'm saying?
Hall, do you have a
take me off the show. I can't be on this show. You got your spot back, Reed.
Oh, man. I'm kind of with Keith where I'm like, why does it have to have an abbreviated name? Like, you don't call the Steelers the Steels or the Lurs. You don't call the Lions the Lies. Like, right. You don't call the Bears the Airs. Like, who cares? Just call them the Commanders and go on about your day.
The Ions.
The wash. To finish this up, we have one last question from Commander OC, Orange Crush 92. Best questionnaire we have. Keith, I'll go to you this one first. I know you're like the football genius here. You do a lot of research on it. We got to talk about Landon Collins. Is he out or in? And if he's playing linebacker now and Jamin Davis is moving to the outside as well, then that means Cole Holcomb is playing middle linebacker, right? Will they just rotate more, or could we be switching to a 3-4 defense?
Well, that's a great question that you ask of me, Kyle. With all of the YouTube film that I've been watching on these players, I would like to think that there could be a possibility that we switch to a 3-4. But with that being said, excuse me, folks, I'm on a legit podcast here.
I don't care. It's his birthday tomorrow.
Give me a few minutes and I'll be off.
Tell him.
I'm kidding. Love you guys. Man, I'm ruining your show, guys.
Dude, you're gonna get beat up.
Yeah, they'll beat me up. The wife definitely. I don't know, man. I don't really pay attention to that kind of stuff. I basically, they could do it. I just don't think that they will. I think Del Rio's kind of stuck in his own ways. Just put these guys where their skill sets are and let them do work at this point. And I think we know what we need. Cole Holcomb actually, to me, I feel like improved after Bostic was out. I don't think he can be on Mike though. I don't think he's quarterbacking that defense. So that would not be my suggestion.
Yeah, I agree with you there. And the first question was about Landon Collins. Is he out or in? I'm not sure if there'd be any willing trade partners for Landon. I know they do have an out with him this offseason, but he did do well when in his new position, being moved around in that kind of that rover spot, you could say. But the one thing I'll say, I don't think they're going to switch to a 3-4 defense, because that's just your standard defense, is what you say on paper. You're in a lot of different formations. You could line up in a 3-4 at any time, but still be in a 4-3 base. I would like it to be a multiple front, hybrid kind of defense, because you want to be able to map your defense, your formations, about what you have based on your disposal, what you have there to be able to use. And based on what the players that we have, obviously we are missing that Mike linebacker, so it would not make sense to add another linebacker to the equation by using that 3-4, if that makes any sense. I know maybe you'd stand up Montez Sweat or Chase Young on the outside and say they're an outside linebacker, but generally you have two Mikes and you have the both outside linebackers there for a 3-4. I don't think that's the case. And then with Landon, dude, that's probably it's going to be one of those that's like the surprising moves that they do. We didn't think they'd do anything with Morgan Moses, right? Adrian Peterson was another one that got cut. Nobody was really expecting. Maybe Landon
Darius
is out.
Geis.
Yeah. What do you think, Reed?
They're not going to switch to a 3-4. It's just the personnel. Del Rios historically always ran a 4-3, and it makes that we have the personnel right now to really flourish in a 4-3. And you're right, Kyle. They don't even really stay in their base set that often. And plus having. You're like you said, you're going to kind of keep Landon Collins in this role anyway. He's not really going to be defined if we keep him. I think we will. I think he's earned that after the way that he played this past season. I know he struggled at first, but you're right. Once they put him in his new position, he really caught on. So I think, I don't know if Cole Holcomb can really man the middle. I think him and Jamin are both best on the outside, and you could bring in a veteran if you even have a middle linebacker kind of right now. Like, it seems like it's just going to be kind of those two and then Landon Collins, but they still got a lot of time. I don't know what they're going to do, but they will not be switching to a 3-4. I can tell you that.
Yeah, and Cole Holcomb had a career year this year, and obviously in tackles, he was one of the most solid pieces for this defense, especially in the middle of the field.
And one of the greatest mullets in Washington football history outside of Jeff George.
Yeah, and I do think Cole Holcomb would be perfectly for your will linebacker, but if we don't have anything to really supplement that as a Mike, then obviously, yes, Cole can play the Mike linebacker spot, but you would love to be able to put him in position at will, leave Jamin at Sam, and get a Mike in there that really does well for you. But, this isn't a perfect world, and things just don't fit into place like that. What do you think, Hall?
Y'all pretty much said everything. Only thing I'll add is about with Landon is I think it depends on Landon if he wants to be in or out. Like, as much as he talked about after he got switched down to the box and like his new role, as much as he talked about how he loves flourishing in his new role and how much he loved it, it seemed like he also talked about how much he didn't want to be having to fight those big guys coming at him like downhill all the time. So
he did a great job at it.
Yeah, he did a great job, but it's up to him if he wants to do it for 17 games next year. If he does, then they'll definitely welcome him back. If he doesn't want to do it for 17 games, if he wants to, or maybe take a marginal role and maybe be like a part-time player, like not a part-time player, but like more of a package player, then I think they'll bring him back. But if he wants to go play safety somewhere else, which it seems like he's set on being a safety, I think that he's more than likely out.
Don't hate the play, hate the game. You can't be part-time, Hall. You know that. Keith, I can't thank you enough for joining us.
Super Bowl predictions?
Oh, yeah. Do you want to get that in?
Oh, that's this week.
Yeah. So anyway, I'll start off this with a bang. So a little backstory real fast. The Hispanic gentlemen at work have started calling me El Tigre. Now, I don't know about you guys, but you're not going to not accept the nickname the Tiger, because that's pretty cool, right? So I want to go with the Bengals because I don't know if you guys know this. They're a tiger. That's a little known fact as well. But the one thing that worries me is they've been so hot, but having this little 2-week break period tends to cool teams down. We saw that with the 72 Washington football team, Washington Redskins, going up against the Miami Dolphins. Washington was crushing everybody in the playoffs. They could have won the Super Bowl, but that was the first season they took a 2-week break, and that really cooled them off. So I am going to go with the Rams, but I don't care either way. Both number 9 quarterbacks, Joe Burrow and Matthew Stafford, can both win. I'd be happy. I like both of them. I've been singing Matthew Stafford's praises forever. I love the guy. I think he's cool. He's got a hot girlfriend, and the guy gets it. So I could go either way, but Joe Burrow's so cool. I'm going Rams, though.
You're going Rams? And the reason why they call you El Tigre, by the way, you're going to hate it when you realize they go home and laugh about it by calling you a big
Oh no, they do. Yeah, that's I think that's it.
Keith, what's your predictions for the game? Who do you think wins?
Yeah, I feel like the the Rams offense is a little bit too explosive, and in my personal opinion, which I'm sure others would agree, but Aaron Donald is a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah.
So I just feel like
He's so good.
He doesn't have this jacket, but it is what it is.
Valid point.
No, so I'm definitely calling Rams, but I do think it's going to be a good game. In my heart, I'm rooting for the Bengals, man. I want to see their fans, truthfully, their fans have been through a lot too, man. I want to see their fans get something. They didn't have to buy their guys to get it.
Yeah, I'm right there with you because we have Bengals captain on here in the preseason. I love talking about it because he said he picked them to win the get in the playoffs. We kind of like, wow, really? You think so? And he was right. He's there in LA right now. Talked to him earlier, so happy for him. I'm rooting for the Bengals, but I think Aaron Donald is going to be the MVP of this game. I think the Rams are going to win 34-24. Joe Burrow's been sacked a bunch in these playoffs. I think Aaron Donald, Von Miller, and company are going to tee off and really get to Joe Burrow and fluster him, and he's not going to be as effective as usual. 34-24. What about you, Hall?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. Little tidbit: the Rams are 6-1 when OBJ has more than 4 catches. So, with that being said, I think OBJ is going to go off this game, as well as Cooper Kupp. I got Cooper Kupp being the MVP. I think he scores 2 touchdowns. It has at least goes for at least $130. Has 2 touchdowns. And I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. I think it's going to be a close one, a barn burner down to the end. I will go Rams 31, Bengals 28.
Do you guys remember when JP got dragged on Twitter for saying ODB?
Yeah,
yeah.
Because he's so white, man.
And then he legitimately Googled it and said, "See, it's been used before." And
I think he can hear us talking about him right now.
Can you please stop? All right, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode.
Grant Paulsen here.
We will be back on Monday. You're not going to want to miss it, Keith. I can't thank you enough for coming and joining us, sir. The Bleeding Burgundy podcast, you guys do a great job over there with Jesse and John. Can't thank you enough for taking the time out, Mr. Jacket, yourself, and having enough room to be able to fit you guys in the same room. All that testosterone is a little bit too
I
much.
know. No, dude. It's all that.
We better not be.
Like if you look to the left and right here, it's like all
jacket
ego.
Nickname.
No, I appreciate you guys. Every time you have me come on, man, it's a lot of fun. Appreciate you.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. I'm Kyle.
I'm like Keith. I'm Hall, and I'm cool as shit.
Damn, that's true. And I'm LT Gray.
All right, everybody.
You cool too.
Well, have a good weekend. Stay safe. Enjoy the Super Bowl, and make sure you guys are commenting what you guys are going to eat for the Super Bowl, what your picks are, who's going to be the MVP, so we can see who knows how to predict games and who doesn't. We'll see you guys on Monday.
Send Keith pictures of your food, your Super Bowl food.
Yeah, so he can critique it. He's a great critique of food. All
He's
right,
like
everybody.
Gordon Ramsay.
Washington football. Woo! Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Kyle. I just wanted to say thank you so much for watching. And if you liked what you saw, make sure you hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. That way you get notified when anything new is uploaded to the channel. Also, we just launched theburgundyzone.com. You can go there and find all of our latest news, articles, and the latest episodes that are uploaded. Again, we also have the Discord chat server, where all of our VIP folks are in, like Andy Burrows, Scott Hartley, Sergio Martin is in there as well. Don't miss out on the Discord chat server. Go and check that out. Until next time, everybody, Washington football. Woo!